The shopping cart is overflowing. Tactical flashlights with 17 brightness modes. Paracord bracelets that promise to save your life. A water filter shaped like a pen. $500 bug-out bags stuffed with gear you'll never actually use. You've spent thousands. And when the lights go out for good, when the supply chains snap like frozen rope and the grocery stores are stripped bare, in 6 hours you are going to realize something devastating. You bought the wrong things. You prepared for a camping trip when you should have been preparing for collapse. Here's what nobody tells you about survival gear. Most of it is designed to make you feel prepared, not to actually keep you alive. It's marketed to weekend warriors who want to play survivalist, not to people facing the brutal mathematics of societal breakdown. And the math is simple. In a grid-down scenario lasting more than 2 weeks, 90% of urban populations will face critical resource shortages. Water systems fail without electricity. Food distribution stops. And all those fancy gadgets you bought, they're paperweights when you can't replace the batteries. When the components break, when you realize you never actually learned the fundamental skills that keep humans alive. So let's talk about the 5 tools that actually matter. Not the ones that look tactical. Not the ones with LED screens and USB ports. The ones rooted in physics, chemistry, and 10,000 years of human survival. The ones that don't need batteries, don't break easily, and most importantly, the ones that multiply your capabilities instead of just performing a single function. First, forget the water filter. Get a metal container that can boil water. I'm talking about a stainless steel pot, at least 2 quarts, preferably larger. Here's why this matters from a pure science perspective. Boiling water doesn't just kill bacteria, destroys viruses, deactivates chemical contaminants through evaporation, and gives you the ability to sterilize medical equipment, cook food, render fat, and create steam for warmth. A $20 camping water filter gives you one function. A metal pot gives you the foundation of chemistry itself. You can distill water if you need to. You can create rudimentary medicines by boiling plants. You can process animal carcasses. And here's the part that separates this from fantasy. In actual collapse scenarios throughout history, from Sarajevo to Venezuela, the families who maintained the ability to boil water consistently were the ones who avoided the disease waves that killed more people than starvation. This isn't about comfort, it's about thermodynamics and germ theory applied to your actual survival. Second, stop buying knives with 18 functions you'll never use. Get a full-tang, fixed-blade knife with a 4-6-inch blade and learn how to sharpen it properly. The physics here is brutally simple. A knife is a wedge, and a wedge is one of humanity's 6 simple machines. It doesn't run out of ammunition. It doesn't need electricity. With proper maintenance, it outlasts you. But here's what the gear companies won't tell you. A multi-tool with scissors and tweezers and a bottle opener is a collection of compromises. Each function is weaker because it's trying to do everything. A proper knife combined with knowledge can do almost everything those 17 tools can do, but it can also bet on wood process game, defend you in close quarters, and most critically, it becomes an extension of your hand in a way that folding mechanisms never can. The Viking raids, the indigenous peoples of the Americas. Every pre-industrial society understood this. The fixed blade is the universal tool because it's the simplest expression of applied force. Learn to use it. Learn to maintain it. It's the one piece of equipment that's been proven across every climate, every scenario, every collapse throughout human history. Third, throw away the $30 fire-starting magnesium bar that is going to fail when your hands are numb and wet. Get a ferrocerium rod the size of your finger and practice with it until you can generate fire in under 30 seconds in any condition. Fire is chemistry. It's the rapid oxidation of material releasing heat and light. And in a collapse scenario, fire isn't just warmth, it's water purification, food preparation, psychological comfort, light for security, and the ability to signal for help or ward off threats. But here's the harsh reality. Most people who buy survival fire starters never actually practice with them. They assume it'll be easy when they need it. It won't. Your hands will shake. The wind will be brutal. The tinder will be damp. So you need a tool that works through physics, not luck. A ferrocerium rod creates sparks at 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit through friction. It works wet. It works at altitude. It works in negative temperatures. It gives you thousands of strikes. And most importantly, it forces you to learn the skill of fire building itself, understanding tinder, kindling, fuel ratios, oxygen flow. Because the tool is just the spark. The knowledge is what builds the fire. Fourth, forget the solar-powered radio that'll break in the first rainstorm. Get 50 feet of quality rope or paracord and actually learn knots. This seems insane until you understand the engineering. Rope is tension and mechanical advantage. It's how you build shelters that don't collapse, how you secure loads, how you create snares and traps, how you rappel, climb, rescue, and restrain. The ancient Egyptians moved pyramid stones with rope. Sailors crossed oceans with rope. And in collapse scenarios, rope becomes the connective tissue of survival infrastructure. You can fashion weapons, create pulley systems to move objects far heavier than you could lift, suspend food away from animals, Create clotheslines that prevent deadly mold in wet conditions. The physics of rope is the physics of force distribution and tensile strength, and unlike almost everything else you can buy, rope doesn't become obsolete. Learn a bowline knot, learn a trucker's hitch, learn a clove hitch, and a tautline hitch. These 5 knots, combined with quality rope, give you engineering capabilities that electric tools can't match when the batteries die. Fifth, this is the one everyone misses. Get a quality tarp, at least 10 by 10 feet, and learn how to deploy it. Not a tent, not a sleeping bag, a tarp, because a tarp is geometry and physics applied to environmental protection. You can create a dozen different shelter configurations depending on weather, terrain, and threat level. You can collect rainwater. You can create visual barriers for privacy. You can signal aircraft. You can waterproof gear. You can create stretchers for injured people. The difference between a tarp and a tent is the difference between adaptability and rigidity. A tent is a single solution. A tarp plus knowledge is infinite solutions. In urban collapse scenarios, the ability to remain hidden while staying dry is often more valuable than obvious shelter. A tarp lets you build into environments using existing structures and vegetation. It's lightweight, packable, and repairable with basic materials. And here's the critical part. It teaches you to read terrain, understand wind patterns, and think spatially about protection. These are skills. The tarp is just the tool that forces you to develop them. Now for the psychological edge that separates survivors from casualties. Every tool I've listed requires knowledge, practice, and decision-making capability. That's intentional. In high-stress collapse scenarios, people default to their training. If your survival plan is press button, device works, you're already failed when that device breaks. But if your survival plan is I understand the principle, I can adapt the technique, you've built resilience. The real preparation isn't gear, it's neurological. It's practicing these skills until they're automatic. It's understanding that panic is your enemy and pragmatism is your ally. It's knowing that survival is boring, repetitive, exhausting work, not an adrenaline-fueled adventure. Start today, not when the crisis hits, not when you're scared. Now, because the difference between the prepared and the victims isn't the size of their gear collection. It's whether they spent their time buying or learning. And when everything collapses, only one of those keeps you alive.